People have lost faith in our voting process. And the Attorney General, Bill Barr, who's leaving tomorrow, said, I'm not going to investigate it. I think there's fraud. He said that. I believe there's fraud, but I'm not putting a special counsel out there to look into it and find out how bad it was. I'm not going to do it. That's corruption. And I like Bill Barr, but I lost a lot of respect for him, got to tell you. What's the downside, Mr. Barr, of appointing a special counsel to see how bad the corruption was in the election? Tell me what the downside is of that. Yeah, I know you got guys out looking at it, but they're not doing anything. Because if they were, you'd report something. You haven't reported anything. The vote was November 3rd. Timeline. So when the polls closed in Pennsylvania, Donald Trump was up by 600,000 votes. I said, he got it. He got it. 600,000 votes. There were still 1.8 million to be counted. Well, all Trump had to win was 40% of the 1.8 absentee mail-in votes. And he had it. No. He lost by 82,000 votes in Pennsylvania. So I'm going, what? And most of those were in Philadelphia and Pittsburgh. All right. Michigan, polls closed. Trump is up by 300,000 votes. Okay? He lost by 155,000. Again, same thing. All these mail-ins went 70, 80, 90% for Biden. Georgia, Trump had a 100,000 vote lead when the polls closed. He lost by about 12,000 votes. Wisconsin, Trump led by 117,000 votes. Polls closed. Okay? He lost by 21,000. Same scenario. All the mail-in votes broke huge for Biden. Remember, Donald Trump got 12% of the African-American vote nationwide. Was it all African-Americans voting by mail? No. So, reading these statistics, any fair-minded person would do analytics on the mail-in votes. We doing it? Not doing it. Some private people are, but not the government, not the Federal Election Commission. It's a little suspicious, isn't it? I think so. So that rocked the entire country, and here's how the candidates reacted.
I didn't lose. The election was rigged.
By who?
By the Democrats, and actually, interesting, by the Democrats, but by local Democrats, meaning state Democrats. They outsmarted state Republicans.
American democracy works because America makes it work at a local level. One of the extraordinary things we saw this year was that everyday Americans, our friends and our neighbors, often volunteers, Democrats, Republicans, independents, demonstrating absolute courage. They showed a deep and unwavering faith in and a commitment to the law.
So don't expect Joe Biden to do anything, nothing, about allegations of fraud in the election. And that leaves us, Americans who want a fair country and justice. Where does that leave us? We're not going to get it. Not going to get a look at this election. You're not going to get it. 1960 it happened. Nixon beat Kennedy. And we write about that in my upcoming book, Killing the Mob. Nixon won. But you didn't get a look at it because the press wanted JFK, just as the press wanted Joe Biden today. You know, that was 60 years ago. Nothing's changed. I mean, I am standing up for my country. I continue to stand up for the promise of America and the potential. But this is horrible. I'm not saying, as many commentators do, there was absolute proof that the vote was fraudulent on a level that would have turned it to Donald Trump. I can't say that. I can say it for Nixon Kennedy because we investigated it thoroughly, and the mob was deeply involved in that. But I can't say it here. I can say, and no one can dispute me, that there was fraud, and it needs to be looked at in a very analytical way. Forensics need to be brought in to look at the precincts that had these crazy turnarounds. All right. So, 2020, this year, is it worse than 1929 when the entire world financial system crashed? My parents lived through it. Maybe yours did if you're a boomer or a little younger than that. Scarred both of my parents. I mean, they were always afraid there would be another crash. My father was petrified, never took a chance, didn't invest, like hoarded the money. Food, you had to eat every scrap on that plate. And all of that was depression area. So depression started on Black Tuesday. The stock market crashed. 16 million shares sold on that day. Boom. And it lasted to World War II. And in between, you had the Dust Bowl. You had ended 1932, 24% unemployment in the country. And those days, you didn't have a safety net. You didn't have the federal government sending you checks or food stamps. That didn't exist. You were hungry. You had to wait on a line to get fed at a local charitable situation. All right, FDR comes in, all right, 1933. Then the government starts to dole out money, all right, a bunch of different projects. But brutal times economically continue until 1941. When the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, we got into World War II. All the production ramped up to defeat the Germans and the Japanese. And by the end of 1945, when the war ended, less than 2% unemployment in the USA. That ushered in, the calm 1950s, where people were able to buy homes, and on and on and on. Hey, Bill O'Reilly here. As you all know, the dollar is at a 10-year low, and November could spell real trouble. That's why I recommend you consider physical gold and silver, and the only company I do business with in this area is American Hartford Gold. You can call them right now. Make sure you tell them Bill O'Reilly sent you, and they'll give you a free gold coin on your first qualified order. Since I have been recommending American Hartford Gold, gold's up over 40%, silver over 60%. So please don't wait. Call them now, 877-444-GOLD Gold, 877-444-GOLD Gold, or text GOLD to 65532.